अधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः, भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः, स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः, स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः, स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः, स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं। In the earlier section, it started with the parampara, teaching tradition. Then we had a question. Kasminnu bhagavo vignate sarvavidam vignatam bhavati. And then this teacher started by saying, Dve vidye veditavye para aparachai. Two types of knowledge one should get, one should acquire. And he said, Paravidya and Aparavidya. Aparavidya was not talked about, just mentioned. Rugvedo, Yajurvedo, Samavedo, Atharvedo, etc. Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakaranam. Ved and Vedangas were mentioned. Whereas Paravidya was discussed in detail. Now, and it mentioned all these Vidyas are Aparavidya. Other than anything other than Paravidya is Apara. That was also said earlier. Here I would like to remind, only secular knowledge is not Aparavidya. The religious knowledge also is Aparavidya. No? What is Paravidya? It was defined, Atha Para that what is Aksharam, that is free from any attributes. That which you cannot comprehend through any sense organs. And it was also said, Yathornanabi srijate grannate cha yatha pruthivyam oshadayas sambhavanti yatha satah purushat keshalomani tatha aksharat sambhavati havishvam. What is Akshara Brahma? That which is the cause of Vishwa. And we discussed in detail that which is Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. What kind of Upadana Karanam? Vivarta Upadana. In other words, it is not enough to know myself as a Sakshi, free from any attributes. There are so many Vedantic teachers I have heard talking about when you have a problem, get into Sakshi Bhava. Be a witness and be free from problems. No, self, that is you, they say, it is not true. The status of being Sakshi is also apparent. It is an adhyaropa to do apvada from Dehatma Buddhi. To negate the Dehatma Buddhi, that self is neither body-mind complex, is none of them. To bring home that point, it is revealed that self is Sakshi. But that's not the ultimate nature. That Sakshi is Jagat Karanam Brahma. Which Jagat Karanam Brahma? Vivarta Upadana Karanam Brahma. Yas sarvagna sarvavit yasya gnanamayam tapa. That is the nature of the Sakshi. And that means the Sakshyam is not away from Sakshi, not independent of Sakshi, but Sakshi is independent of Sakshi. That which is witnessed is not independent of the witness, but the witness is independent of what is witnessed. So, very peculiar Sakshi, if at all it is. You have to understand this. Whole world is Sakshi, is witnessed. If I am Sakshi, the whole creation is Sakshi, is witnessed. And that being a case, whole world is not independent of me. That Aksharam Brahma, Aham Asmi, I am that. That knowledge is called Paravidya. And earlier I have said this. The body of the words which becomes instrumental in revealing the knowledge. Since the Shabda is a Pramanam, that body of the word are also called that Vidya, Paravidya, in a secondary sense. But Paravidya is that Vritti, that Brahmakara Vritti. Paravidya is that recognition. I am that Sakshi. The Sakshi who is independent. Satchit Swaruposmi, Chidananda Ruposmi. The whole Jagat is not independent of me. That kind of Sakshi I am, that Vidya is Para. And anything other than Para is Apara. Okay? That means all secular knowledge and all religious knowledge is also Apara. That means study of Vedas, study of Karma Kandas, study of Puranas, study of Itihasas, everything, Ramayana, Mahabharata, everything is aparavidya. No doubt. There are some shlokas and mantras in Ramayanas, shlokas, and you can say Chopais also, Tulsidas, he also writes something. But the Tatparya seems to be different. It is the Ramakatha. Mahabharata also has some shlokas, but Tatparya is different. It is the Dharma Grantha. So, all religious life is aparavidya. Earlier also I have seen doing prayers, doing puja, doing seva. Everything is apara. Why? The Jagat and Jagat Karta is seen to be different from me. Any action or any knowledge which supports or sustains this division, all that is aparavidya. Nothing wrong in prayers, nothing wrong in bhakti, but that bhakti itself becomes apara as long as the Bhagavan is looked as different from myself. And the same bhakti becomes para when the Bhagavan is recognized as non-separate from myself. Gnani is also bhakta. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna. Arto jignasur artharthi gnani cha bharatarshava. Gnani is also bhakta. A devotion, prayers to the Lord with appreciation that I am not separate from the Lord is parabhakti. But without appreciation, wanting to see him as some individual becomes apara. Hanumanji is parabhakta. There is a very beautiful shloka. I don't know where from it is, depicting Hanumanji's wisdom, expressing his wisdom. When asked, go see, then he says, Deha buddhya tudasosmi. If I look at from myself from the standpoint of body, as an individual, this physio-psycho complex, I, body with that identity based on my body, that identity is your dasa. Deha buddhya tu dasosmi. Jiva buddhya tvadamshaka. As a jiva, as an individual, as a karta bhokta, as a person, yatrika, going from birth to death, etc. That jiva, I am your amsha. Deha buddhya tu dasosmi, jiva buddhya tvadamshakaha, atma buddhya tvamevaham. But then, from the standpoint of the self, you are me and I am you. That appreciation, Hanumanji had it. And that is being symbolized, that is picturized by that famous story of Hanumanji tearing his chest and showing Sita and Rama within the chest, They tear it out. And there is a Hanumanji standing cheerfully, in spite of tearing the chest, in spite of bleeding, he is smiling, and that Well, he is smiling and says, Atma Buddhya Tvamevaham. I am you and you are I. With this recognition, there is nothing wrong in worshipping the Lord. But then, in absence of that recognition, that bhakti becomes a sadhana bhakti. And I have told this again and again. Look at Arjuna. What a great bhakta he must have been. We as a devotee look for some incident where we feel the presence of Dina Bandhu, Karuna Sindhu, Bhakta Vatsal Bhagavan, that he stood by me in my bad times. That's how we look at it. We look for something happening. He saved me from this crisis. Bhagavan was with me. Or we may look for him to see him in some form, that upasya form. But Arjuna was such a great bhakta that he was there all the time, physically available. And not physically simply available to get darshan, but he was available to serve him. Bhagavan literally served Arjuna. And he felt proud, in fact. Twice in Mahabharata, Bhagavan says, I am here to serve all the Pandavas. What a bhakta he must have been. And we think we are bhaktas. And our maybe society may tell us that, oh, you are a great bhakta. Like we say, Narsimha Mehta is a bhakta. Mirabai was great bhakta. Sudasji was a great bhakta, etc. But their Ishta Devata never came and certified, yes, he is my bhakta. He never said. True, we have enough incidents to say he must have been a great devotee. But Bhagavan never certified and claimed. Whereas in Arjuna's case, he tells, Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. You are my beloved friend and you are a great bhakta. So he had that. Bhakti, previous janmas, he must have done so much of bhakti to earn this grace. As they call it in English, Bhagavan is available at his beck and call. You know, he was available for beck and call. Not like 108, emergency, our emergency police van or ambulance. In India nowadays, it's not available. Then there, still, Bhagavan wanted him to know that, oh Arjuna, I am yourself. Better you know me as the self. How many verses? One of them you know very, it's often you might have chanted this 15th chapter verse, Sarvasya chaham Hridisanivishtaha Mattasmritir Gnanam Apohanam. Sarvasya Hridisanivishta Aham Asmi. Aham Atma Gudakesha. Kshetragnam Chapi Mam Vidhi. So many verses. When you recognize that, then you may continue worshipping Bhagavan, then it becomes Paravat. That's a Paravidya. So all religious life is Dharma also. Knowledge of Dharma is also Aparavidya. Having said that, now, Having said that, in this section, Bhagavan talks about or introduces the adhikari for Paravidya. Elaborately introduces. Okay? Elaborately means the summary of Karma Kanda is talked in detail. There are various rituals that are talked about here. The karma phalas of rituals and limitations of karma phalas and purpose of performing rituals. Everything is being taught. The nature of the rituals and the result is also taught. The idea or the purpose of this discussion is to bring home the point that lots and lots of efforts are required to perform these rituals, and the benefit or the phalam in terms of Vishaya Sukham that you gain is very, very precious little you get. That it's a bad bargain, as Swamiji would say. The investment in terms of your life, investment in terms of this human birth, the rarest of the rare birth that you have, investment in terms of your Kriya Shakti, Gnana Shakti, etc. And the result that it gets is they are all Anitya Lokas. And all these experiences, promised experiences of Sukha, don't give you permanent happiness, which you want, and all this is called Aparavidya. In other words, to develop Vairagya, the discussion of Karma Kanda follows in the next section. Technically, it is called Anuvada. Okay? What does Anuvada means? Restatement of what is already stated. What is already told in the Vedas, in the Karma Kanda section. But then the restatement is made in such a way that one develops Vairagya. One becomes Adhikari. So, it is to introduce us who is the Adhikari for Vedanta. Why it is talked in detail? All these points are talked about here. By performing this karma, what you get and what do you lose in non-performing karmas? By doing what you get, by not doing what you lose, and what are the limitations of your karmas, and what are the limitations of the karma phalas. What you get, what you don't get, by doing what you get, by not doing what you lose, what are the limitations of your actions, what are the limitations of karma. This vichara means analysis. Okay, it is not simple. In vernacular language, vichara means projection sometimes, imaginations. No. Vichara means viveka. Vichara means analysis. Vichara means discrimination. Vichara means understanding the nature of the thing, limitations. These vichara will lead to vairagya. Okay? Not only from karma. Vichara from, vairagya from karma phalam. As I discussed yesterday in question answers, karma vairagya is also necessary. Certain things I have to do, one needs to grow out of it. And the vichara is to help you to discover one statement, vairagya. And what is vairagya? To see through what I'm never going to achieve, what I want. Through all that am I doing. In other words, I'm to restructure my life. I'm trying to restructure my relationship, restructure my position in the office, restructure my health, restructure my possessions, restructure my way of living, restructure my way of communicating. Everything you keep doing, keep changing. And at the end of it, I am seeking permanent peace. I am seeking a sense of contentment, sense of self-satisfaction, sense of being complete. No more. That sense I have been seeking. That will never come through these means. That is called vairagya. Vairagya is not an action. Vairagya is your understanding about the nature of the karma phalas, nature of certain karmas, and nature of your possessions, your relationships. Everything is vairagya. Don't think going to heaven alone is raga and I don't want to go to heaven is vairagya. No. Proper appreciation of what all you have. All my possessions cannot give me permanent peace and permanent security that I want. I am secured. I don't need to seek security. That's a wisdom, but nothing can give me security. Your attitudinal change that money is a means, not the end in itself. Attitudinal change that position and power is a means, not an end in itself. Attitudinal change in appreciating the relationships are meant to grow. I can't lean upon people. You may have name Lina, who is always leaning. You can't lean for the others. you have to stand on its own yourself. That is you. And that you have to discover at the second part of it. Even a car. I have seen people yesterday, as I mentioned, they are so fastidious about maintaining the car. Looks like that it's an end in itself. But to see as a means for committing, I may need a comfortable means and use it. That is all vairagya. Vairagya is attitudinal change born out of appreciation of limitations of all my possessions now and of future possible possessions. None of them is mean end in itself. They are means. To develop, this is being discussed. To develop or lead to this appreciation, Shruti talks about karma. Why? That because the nature of the knowledge being so, the nature of the means of knowledge being so. Eyes are pramanam. Eyes are the means of knowledge to know the forms and colors. Ears are the means of knowledge to hear the sound, to know the sound, to know the voice. Now, when the means is proper and adequate, meaning proper meaning thereby to know the form and colors, I operate eyes, not the ears, not the fingers, sense of touch. Adequate means is eyes. And I mean, that's a proper means. An adequate means proper eyes without any requirement of glasses, etc. If eyes are okay, when you see, knowledge must take place. Gnanam is vastu tantra, true to the object. Karma is kartru tantra, means you have choice in performing an action. You have no choice in knowing it. I may speak louder or slower. It's my choice. I may speak faster or slower. That's my choice. I may speak in English or Hindi or Gujarati or whatever language I wish to. But when I speak and when my ears are okay, I have no choice but to hear what I am talking. There is no choice. And it is immediate. When you open the eyes and see the object, knowledge is immediate and choiceless. That is true for any means of knowledge. It is immediate and without your choice. That's why when you pass by certain areas in Bombay, a crowded city, and some gutters smell coming, garbage, jobberpatti coming, when you pass by, you pick up the smell, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not. You may pick up the smell, foul smell once or twice, and you have to pass by that area again. Then before coming to some point nearby, you remember Ramadeva and start pranayama. That is your choice. You may do pranayama. To avoid pranayama means you block the breathing and try to avoid the smell. But moment you open the nose, you will have the smell. Similarly, if somebody with very fragrant deo on his body, deodorant passes by, you pick up a smell. You have no choice. I was told this Rajneesh had an allergy for something, this fragrance. So, Sri Rajneesh said, so whoever, when he took a class or gave a talk in an air-conditioned room to smaller groups, used to keep people near the gate. They will, like a dog, they will sniff you. And sniff your armpits also. they you have not applied deo over here, deo over there, sniff all around. Because he picked up the slightest of the smell. He didn't want it. And he was allergic. People used to say, those who had gone there. But then you have no choice. It is immediate and choiceless. If now If this is the nature of knowledge, when a means of knowledge is proper and adequate, and your object to know is right there in front of the means of knowledge, is within the capacity of the means of knowledge, and you, the knower, being there, knowledge must take place immediately. You want to know, and what you want to know is in front of you, and you open the eyes, you see the object immediately, choiceless, if eyes are proper, adequate. If this is the case, now listen carefully. The object to be known is Atma. I am that individual who wants to know the Atma. And the means of knowledge is Shastra Pramanam, Vedanto Nama, Upanishad Pramanam. Vedanta is a proper means. And it's an adequate means when it is taught by a competent teacher who knows the methodology of teaching, who knows how to handle the words, who knows how not to speak and what to speak and with what context to build up and then communicate, who knows what are the implied meanings of the words that are used in Shastras. We saw all this in the last class, previous class. That means the means of knowledge is adequate and I am there. Still the knowledge doesn't take. We keep listening. Atma Satyam Jagan Mithya. It's too difficult, Swamiji. It's too difficult. And they say, knowledge is, and then all these Kathakars always say, Vedanta is not meant for us. It's very difficult. It's not true. The simplest of all is knowledge. And most difficult is knowledge. Anor Aniyan Mahato Mahiyan. Which is most sarala and Raja Vidya Raja Kuhyam also. Why? If you are not ready for it, it is most secret, impossible, most difficult. And if you are ready for it, very simple. It is like mathematics, In the class, there are always two types of students, school students. One who just love mathematics, and the other one for whom mathematics is matha kutis. Matha means head. Kutis means banging, head banging. They just don't like mathematics because the fundas are not clear. And if it is clear, if you're ready for it, you just understand the things through and you enjoy learning. So adhikaritvam is very, very important. In absence of adhikaritvam, even if the means of knowledge is operated, that proper and adequate means being operated, knowledge doesn't take place. Must take place. It is pramanam. By the way, I would like to hammer this again and again. Not appreciating this fact, not seeing this fact. Vedanta teachers talk about meditation. and realize. They say studying Shastra is intellectual knowledge. You have to, another thing, you have to digest the knowledge. In Gujarati they say, જ્ઞાન મેળવવું સહેલું છે, પણ પચાવવું અઘરું છે. It is very difficult to digest the knowledge. What digest? I don't understand. It is not raw food that is difficult to digest. It simply means you are not ready. And therefore they convert this into mysticism, realization and experience-oriented thing. It is not matter of experience. It's a matter of knowing. It is a pramanam. It is very important. That 15th chapter verse, yatanto yoginaschainam pashyantyatmani avasthitam yogina, karma yogina, means ragadvesha rahitaha janaha, shuddha antahkaranaha janaha, people having pure heart, people who are relatively free from likes and dislikes, pashyanti atmani avasthitam, they see the Ishvara is the self. Yatantopi, even though he is striving, yatantopya krutatmanaha nainam pashyanti achetasa. Akrutatmanaha, ashuddha antakaranaha, asamskrita antakaranaha, Bhashyakara write this. One whose mind is not ready, mind is not pure enough, that means they are not ready for the knowledge. Adhikaritvam is missing. Nainam pashyanti, they can't see the self. Means knowledge doesn't take place. So, adhikaritvam is very important. Knowing this well and to emphasize the adhikaritvam, to give us clarity about what is adhikaritva and how to grow to become an adhikari. That is being talked here now. That is called anuvada. There is a discussion about karmas and rituals, but then restating what has been said earlier needs to be restated again and again, because the nature of knowledge is always immediate. Moment you operate the means of knowledge, knowledge will take place there and then. There is no vyavadhana, intermediacy of time for knowledge to take place. It's immediate. That if doesn't take place, one needs to work on oneself to become adhikari, to gain relatively pure heart, the mind that is relatively free from holds of likes and dislikes, the mind that which can relatively contemplate and think on the self and the study which I had from my teacher. That preparedness is necessary. Therefore, this is said again and again. True. Again, let me repeat. All that is said here is not Upanishad. Even Brahma Vidya mantras are also not Upanishad. That is not Paravidya. Yadadaksharam, Yatadadresham, Grahyam, etc. Paravidya is having understood the mantras, the cognition is Paravidya. Otherwise, just mantras chanting or mantras word meaning is aparavidya. Because that vritti has not taken place, cognition has not taken place. There is still some vagueness, like a typical, I know, Swamiji, I am Brahman, but in my day-to-day life, I don't experience Brahman. Vague. The fellow is to be told, the fellow who wants to experience Brahman is Brahman. You don't need to have any separate experience of Brahman. The very experiencer is Brahman. That recognition is Brahma Vidya. I understand, but that but is always there. Sorry. That means there is some blockage, emotional blockage. When people come to us with some dilemma, to do this or don't do this. Should I go here or don't go here? Should I change the job or not? Then I not advise, but I clarify the situation. If you do this will happen. If you don't do this will happen. And do this because this will get you this hand which you wanted. And if you don't do this, you will not get this hand which you wanted, etc. I make them see. Typical. You understand, Swamiji? What you say is so clear. I should do this. But still my conscience says no. This is the word. Conscience says no. I still don't feel like doing. And I've seen some people going by their feel like. Especially some of the women, when their husband tells, no, I told you to give it up. It's not worth. This is all. No, I'm telling you, it is not. My heart says go, live. My heart says have. And this heart attack, sometimes it becomes true. It is not always true. You cannot go by your instinct or your feelings. You have to go by rationale. All these Mahatmas that India had, who were almost made Bhagwan by the devotees, and lots of chamatkaras, and there may be so many people who can claim that my Guru or Baba or whatever who said something and I did it and I got benefit out of it. So that's I have total surrender now in Baba, total surrender in my Guru, etc. I just do it blindly. That's very dangerous Guru and that's more dangerous Sishyas. Anyway, you can't go there. They say this. No, I don't feel like what you say. That means what? There is some emotional blockage. Having had the clarity, he says, now I understand what you say. If I want this, I have to do this. I cannot think this way. But all I said was wrong, improper. And what you say is so true. Though you have not told me to do, but I think it looks like that I must do this. But there is a blockage, like heart blockages people have, 80% block, 90% block, and get a headache. And there are very few people who has arteries blocked, but most of the people have Buddhi's arteries blocked. They are non-thinking by themselves. And if you make them think and make them see, still they don't want to think. This is cognitive blockage. And that blockage is emotions, emotional issues. What I said yesterday, it's a reality. My own emotions. stifles, clouds, hides momentarily all my wisdom, and and doesn't allow me to accept the new wisdom, doesn't allow me to own up the new wisdom. Whatever somebody gives me, you are right, but that doesn't allow to sink in, doesn't allow me to live up to it. This is all blockage, emotional blockage. Anyway, so the Brahma Vidya is that Brahmakar Vritti. These mantras are not Brahma Vidya Pratipadaka mantras, the next section mantras, but still they are part of Upanishad because it leads the seeker to Brahma Vidya. It helps these mantras unfold certain facts so that the student gains necessary frame of mind, necessary clarity in his or her thinking, necessary mind or heart that is free from emotional blockages, that the person is together, and thereby he or she is qualified for the knowledge and gains the knowledge immediately. So they are also considered as Upanishad. These mantras are Upanishad mantras, though purely Karmakanda mantras. But they are there to prepare you for Upanishad, to prepare you for Brahma Vidya. And therefore, in a secondary sense, these mantras are also called as Upanishad. Okay? With this background, we will leave you here. And next week, we will start the section explaining the mantra. And after Shanti Pada, I want to have some talk with you for 5-7 minutes. So be there on the line. Let me complete this talk by concluding Shanti Patha, and then I will make some announcement. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari